I want to bring back NewsNation national security contributor Tracy Walder on this, who is importantly former CIA officer as well. Tracy, thanks so much for joining us on this topic.
Thank you for having me, Natasha.
So, Tracy, hearing what we just heard, these additional details, what is your reaction to the CIA trainee being terminated, especially these allegations that it had to do with her writing? Does your gut tell you that retaliation may be happening in this case?
Well, so my thoughts are sort of twofold. First of all, I feel horrible for her, what she's going through as a victim, and then being re-victimized again must feel terrible. I think the issue is part of the problem with the farm training, which I went through myself, is that it's very subjective in nature. And so it can become very, very difficult as to really find out why someone was asked to leave or failed out of the program, if you will. The other part of it that I'm sort of having trouble wrapping my brain around is, when I was at the farm, there was a gentleman in my class who did fail out of the program, but he did find a job at headquarters. They really make every effort to try to find you a job at headquarters because they just spent a whole lot of money clearing you through the background process, and they want to try to keep you. And so in my opinion, it probably was retaliatory once she got back to headquarters, because the reality was managers were probably being told not to hire her into their departments. And so that's where I think it became retaliatory in nature, and she is a protected whistleblower.
Yeah, Tracy, this woman is credited with launching a sort of reckoning at the CIA, emboldening dozens of women to come forward with their experiences at the agency. And some of these accusations range from lewd remarks. We're hearing this one case of a senior manager showing up at a subordinate's house with a gun demanding sex. Tracy, and I always appreciate your candor. I know that this is a touchy subject and difficult to talk about. What did you witness at the CIA? What kind of culture exists there? Why specifically at the CIA do you feel misconduct like this gets kept a secret?
Well, I'm going to be very, forthright and very honest. I personally was not impacted by anything like this when I was at the agency, but I think it would be very, very wrong for me to deny the experiences of other women there. I do think part of the issue and part of why sometimes this gets swept under the rug is sort of under the guise of needing to keep identities secret and needing to keep things secret for the sake of background investigations and people maintaining their top secret clearances. I think that becomes very problematic. Now, what I can say is I was horrifically, had a whole lot of issues when I was at the FBI in regards to things like this. And the problem is when women do come forward, I completely agree with what Mr. Carroll said. A lot of times we do get crushed, and that is what happened to me there. And so I think just because one person didn't experience something at one agency doesn't necessarily mean that it didn't happen to others. And I think at the agency, you have sort of that veil of top secret, people having to have cover and their identities not being able to be known. That really can sometimes make it really easy to hide behind things.
Yeah, and Tracy, I appreciate you bringing up what happened to you at the FBI. Can you briefly, to the extent that you're comfortable, quickly share with us what happened?
So actually something very similar to this woman, except fortunately for me, I did graduate from Quantico, but they made it incredibly difficult for me. And a lot of it was based on appearance. And a lot of it was based on what they perceived I should look like and perceived how I should act. And it made me very, very insecure and very, very uncomfortable, to the point that I did try to come forward. And then my life was made incredibly difficult. And as a result of that, once I was in my office and working there, I made my own decision to leave. But subsequently in 2019, a 17-woman gender discrimination lawsuit was made against the FBI and women's experiences at Quantico. So I think that these things are really, really important, and I'm glad that the Senate is hearing them, quite frankly.
Okay. Tracy Walder, I appreciate you sharing that with us, and I appreciate your time. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider, and don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.